We took a flatlining, declining chip brand and turned it into a category leader and growing at 4,000% in only 10 years. And I'm going to show you exactly how we did that. So welcome to Brand Builders. This is where we get to tell you all the insight about how to actually grow a CPG brand. So back around 2011, there was a chip company called Hardbite in British Columbia. And it was started by a guy named Sepp Amsler. And he was on Dragon's Den, which is the Canadian version of Shark Tank. And it got a deal within it, but that deal fell through. And unfortunately, Sepp had some health problems and he put his business on life support. And a friend of mine, Pete, who was a potato farmer at the time, he said, "Hey, Braden, there's this potato chip company that is not doing so well. And I'm thinking about buying it." And I said, "Well, hey, Pete, if you're going to do that, can I come in with you and can we actually work on this together?" So we got a few people together. We bought Hardbite, which was in a decline mode. And we said, we can turn this around. And so here's actually exactly how we did it. So the first thing we did is we hired a great leader. His name is Kirk Hominick, great person. He runs the business day to day, but from a marketing perspective, what we started to do is started to look at the positioning of the product. And in our positioning graph, we looked at it and it was in the death quadrant. It was declining sales. It was going down. And the death quadrant is when your price point is higher than the perceived benefits and you couldn't sell it. Our temporary price reductions, we could only sell it on a discount. And so when you're in the death quadrant, you have to reposition the brand. So it's the first thing to do. Now, how do you reposition a brand? Is you have to start to look at, well, which P in our 4 Ps of marketing, product, price, place, promotion, do we need to work on? And most people just default right away to, well, we have to make it look better. It's all about the brand. Well, that's true. But a repositioning, we have to say, well, is it the product? So we actually shrunk down this number of SKUs that we had. We said, we're going to go with a core SKU listing to make sure we had the right products. We then said, well, I want to do something totally different. I want to start to target a younger demographic, that 20 to 35-year-old, a younger feel to it. And we want to put it into a lifestyle brand. And at the time, people were like, well, Braden, you can't do that. You can't turn this into a lifestyle brand. It's a potato chip. And I'm a potato farmer. Let's make it more about the story of the potatoes and the freshness and the natural stuff. And I said, guys, I know, but everybody does that. Everybody's talking about that. Frito-Lay, the biggest potato chip company in the world, which I even used to work at, they're even trying to own that. So I said, let's make it all about a natural lifestyle that's active, that is cooler, that just makes it feel unique and different. And so I said, we're going to start to target a different demographic. We're going to make it a lifestyle. We're going to position it more premium because it is a premium potato chip. It's all natural ingredients, nothing artificial, great flavor profiles. I said, guys, we can actually make this work. And so that's where we actually churned our brand pyramid to start to make it to say, hey, we want to connect emotionally with our consumers in a way that we know you want to be an active lifestyle. You're going to eat chips. So if you are going to eat chips, eat ours, eat Hardbite. It's so good. It's much better than what's out there. Plus, it's going to taste amazing. And so our very tip of that brand pyramid, which is our essence, was about going beyond. And so it's not just about a chip anymore. This is about a lifestyle that is going beyond. And so we wanted to create that look, the feel, the using imagery of even the outdoor lifestyle of British Columbia, because the strategy was, if you can't work in a province in Canada where it's actually made, it's not going to work anywhere else in North America. It just won't. So let's really own it. Let's double down on where we're located. So we relaunched the brand, the look, the feel, the branding. We started to say, yes, this is it. So once you rebrand and reposition in the market, you start to launch that into the market with a campaign. So our campaign, and one of our creatives at Crew, his name was Ian. He created this tagline that he still to this day is his claim to fame, which is all potato, no couch. It was this idea of taking an active lifestyle, all potato, no couch. We then worked with radio station, actually only one station to go deeper on that target audience. We used out of home. We wrapped the trucks that we had because we wanted to use anything that we could because we didn't have a ton of money. So we wrapped the trucks. We hired a a team of university students in the summer to go to all these different events and hand out chips, get people excited about it. We wanted to create just a cool lifestyle snack brand. And that was the key idea behind it. And guess what? It started to work. We started actually gaining traction. Retailers saw the investment that we were making, how we were positioning the brand, and they loved it, which means they would give us incremental displays. And we used our knockout cases to create incremental displays at different retailers. We had a really good pricing strategy that we started to implement. The idea of 2 for $5, getting that in there, get people excited about it again. And because we were working this with social media, with media buys together, it was starting to really gain traction. Now in CPG, you get to the place side. Place is about retail expansion. And the only way you can get expansion is selling to new retailers and through innovation. And so we started using different formats. So we did a very small 28-gram bag. We did a single serve 60-gram bag. And so we were able to use multi-packs at Costco. We started to create different packs for delis within grocery stores. The small bags were then used for Halloween packs and even on airlines that we got into to be able to get people to try it. And so all these different formats start to actually create your place strategy, your distribution, and it started to actually then expand. Now, if you want to take it to that next level, we then said, hey, we need to go outside of just potato chips. Let's get into root vegetables. And so Kirk at the time was like, oh yeah, we can do parsnips and carrots. But we said, we can't just create the same look and feel. It's got to be different so that it wasn't just a line extension. It was a whole category of root veg. So we then had a unique look and feel because we wanted to attract a bit of a more sophisticated target audience within it. We wanted it to, expand the category. And so we started launching with root vegetables. And that was a time when, it started to really take. Some retailers that didn't take the potato chip line took the root vegetable line, which we were then able to increase distribution, and we started to move it. The next innovation was all about avocado oil. And we saw that there was a real trend for creating upscale flavor offerings. So we created a whole line of avocado oil-based potato chips. Using unique photography, we wanted to create a bit more of a different sophisticated audience, different flavor profiles that we could use that weren't as mainstream so that we could get more natural organic channels involved and retailers. And so that lineup started to actually work as well. So you can start to see how repositioning the brand and then you take innovation and distribution to start to expand throughout Canada was the strategy, now into the US, through Costco, through the natural channel, through different components, and year after year of innovating, working through your brand, creating new points of distribution, new promotional strategies, working together over time starts to actually create that. And you can see on our sales graph that at the very beginning, it was starting to actually work. You can see the rebrand starting to grow. And then you can start to see here, there's a bit of that bump. That bump is when we launched root vegetables. So you can see that creating that incremental innovation starts to increase it even more. Then as time goes on, we actually ran out of manufacturing space. And so you start to level off a little bit. And then the next bump is when we launched avocado oil. And you start to then see that growing in the market. And all of a sudden, you start to see that you went from an emerging brand to a growth brand, now to a challenger brand as sales have increased. So going from the very beginning, which was around 400,000 in sales, to now over 28 million in only 10 years. That's 4,000% growth. Now, the one thing is that in CPG, everybody thinks, oh, it's like a hockey stick. It's not. It's not a hockey stick growth. It is actually an incremental growth that depending on how aggressive you are in the strategy and how much uptake you get, you're going to start to see it grow incrementally over time if you can stick with a solid strategy that actually grows with you. So big points as a CPG brand builder, that if your product is going down, you need to then reposition the brand, target new audiences, look at the innovation strategy that you have, and then start to connect with your consumers in a way that's going to be different, right? This was the idea of creating strategic differentiation with artistic distinction. right? Making sure those are working together within that environment. And if you start putting those together in a disciplined way and you're able to execute on time, on budget, you will see results. So if you are not a member of CPG Brand Builders yet and you like the content, make sure you sign up. It is a community of marketers who are learning together, growing together, and creating the world's best brands. And we built this community for you. If you want to grow brands, if you want to make a difference in this world and become a better marketer, CPG Brand Builders is exactly what you need. So come to work. Let's do it.